everyone, and welcome to today's Play Attention webinar. My name is Amber, and I will be your host. Thank you all for joining me today on this Friday afternoon. Today we are going to talk about iLab and how it can really help you in your office as well as with virtual clients as well. Just a little bit before we get started, this webinar is geared for professionals and professionals who see clients and use Play Attention or want to use Play Attention with that. So if you are looking more for homeschooling or distance learning, this isn't going to be the answer that you're looking for. We're more than happy to help you with that. So if you're interested more with school and distance learning, you can go ahead and type that in the chat box, and we will follow up afterwards and talk a little bit more, because this webinar is geared for professionals looking to use iLab, Play Attention and or iLab in their office to help with seeing clients in their office as well as virtual. So just a little bit to clear any confusion before we get started. Also, we are recording this webinar, so if you have to hop off early or you want to share with any colleagues, we will be sending out the recording after the webinar is over, along with the slides. Additionally, if you have any questions while we're going through, you can type them in the chat box. I will try to get to those questions as I see them, but I will save some time at the end to cover questions as well. I may occasionally ask you if something I'm saying resonates, and you can always use the raised hand icon down below, but if you do have a question, use that chat box, because then I can see that question that way. My name is Amber, as I mentioned. I will be your host today. I've used Play Attention for many years, and I have spent most of my career in post-secondary and secondary education to really help individuals and students find their success and achieve academics. Play Attention has been an integral part of that. I've also spent time in grant writing as well, so if that's something that you're interested in, whether you're looking to start your business or expand your business and look for grants, I'd be more than happy to help you do some searching in that area. So we are going to cover iLab today, so let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to talk about today is, what is iLab? So iLab might be brand new for some of you. Some of you might have an idea or use iLab, but you're looking to expand it even more. So we're just going to talk right at the beginning about what iLab is. We're going to talk about all of the fabulous things that iLab can do for you as well as for your clients. It can help you meet the demand that your clients are looking for now, as well as the needs of your clients in this environment. You know, right now we are in a different environment with COVID-19, and many of us are seeing our work be remote, or our children are going to school but doing distance learning, and so virtual is becoming more and more of an area that we're looking at. And so, we've had our iLab for many years, so, being able to still see your clients and meet those needs, but do that virtually. What is the return on investment? I know when we're talking with professionals, that is a very important piece, the return on investment, so we're going to talk about that. And also, we are going to be offering you a special today, so hang on till the end of the webinar and we will talk about what that special offer is. So what is iLab? So first of all, let me back up just a little bit before I dive right into iLab and talk about Play Attention. So for some of you, I see a lot of you that are here today are Play Attention professionals. But for those individuals that are a little bit new to Play Attention or not quite sure exactly what Play Attention is, I'm going to give you just a little bit brief overview. And so Play Attention is a program that helps build executive function. It helps build attention. It helps with self-regulation, and we integrate feedback technology through our bodywave armband with cognitive skill training and behavioral shaping, and we use all of these pieces together to create a very customized program for each individual. And at Play Attention, we have two different programs that individuals can take advantage of. We have our home system, which individuals can do right at home, and we have our professional system where professionals can use it with their clients. And so today we are going to be addressing that professional system, because with that professional system, you have the ability to upgrade it to the iLab program, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So really the first piece in all of this process, if you're new, is getting started with Play Attention. And then once you're started with Play Attention, you can definitely upgrade. Now with our Play Attention system, our professional system, it does come with unlimited user licenses, so you can enroll as many individuals as you want into your program, but it is designed to do one-on-one training, and that's really where iLab comes in. If you're looking to do group training, which many of us are not right now because of social distancing, but iLab has more than just group training. It also offers distance training, or that virtual component. And really the great thing about iLab is you can use both. You don't have to select virtual or group. They're both in combination in that upgrade. And so when we do eventually go back to more of a group setting, you have that opportunity to use your systems that way as well. So iLab takes your ability of play attention, and as I mentioned earlier, gives you two options: the ability to do virtual training and the ability to do group training. And as I mentioned, those are both included in that iLab program. You do not have to choose one or the other. So virtual is just what it sounds like, where you're going to be in one location, your client's going to be in another location, and we're going to talk about all the different pieces of that platform and what that looks like. And then we have the group training, which means you're in an area, and then you have multiple students or clients that you are serving at one time. Now, as I mentioned, that's probably not going to be on individuals the forefront of their business plan right now, because we are seeing more virtual. We are seeing more social distancing. However, that is a component of iLab, and it is an important piece as well. So what does iLab do for us? What can it provide me with as I'm going through the program with a client? Well, iLab has, first of all, it is a standalone platform. So everything that you need is going to be located in that platform. You don't have to use a third-party platform in addition to this. You're going to be able to do everything you need. You're going to have your play attention. You're going to have the data. So when you're in one location and your students in the other location, you're going to be able to see their data in real time. You're going to have the iLab intelligence. You're going to have a view of the real-time game. So just as you would be able to see them if you were sitting right beside them, now you can see them, but virtually. It gives you the opportunity for distance. So, these things are here, whether I'm doing it in a group environment or I'm doing it in a virtual environment, because I still need these things even in a group setting, because maybe I have 5 students, and so I still need to see all of their information as I go along. It gives you full control of the curriculum, so you still have the ability to set all of the curriculum, set all of the specifics of their training plan. You have the ability for multiple different forms of communication. You have text, you have voice, you have video conferencing, phone calls. There's so many different methods, but you have that ability to have that conversation in real time with them. So essentially, it's like us doing this Zoom meeting where I'm in one location, you're in another location, and you're getting that information. However, unlike a webinar with regular Zoom, you can have that conversation back and forth, right, if we're having a meeting. So our iLab has that type of capability. So as long as your student or your client has a camera, you can video back and forth to each other. You, again, can have a phone call, you can have a chat. There's a lot of different ways that you can have built into that iLab for communication, but also for being able to see their data, to see that training, to give them feedback, all of those different pieces like you would do if you were essentially right beside them. So let's break down some of those different pieces so you can see them in real time. So number one, you have your iLab viewer. So you may have one iLab client, or you may have multiple iLab clients. And we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like investment-wise when we talk about return on investment here shortly. But you have that ability to see all of your iLab clients. So if you were just doing a virtual remote one, you could see one individual. But if you were doing group training, obviously you would see everybody that you were having right there. You see down below, you have a lot of different options when you're using your iLab viewer. You can flag a certain student. If you hit the little eyeball, you can see their data. You can pin them. You can send messages, or you can block them. And that sounds a little harsh. Why would I want to block a student? But if you're working with a student that has a tendency to have a little bit of impulse, and they're working on building that impulse control, you might want to block them from that communication while they're doing that training, so they're not constantly sending you messages. So lots of different information, or lots of different options you have here, and each of them are individual. So you don't have, it's not one option for all of your individuals. You have that ability to customize each individual as you're going through that program. You also have the ability to live stream video. So just as we're live stream video right now within iLab, like I said, you don't have to have a third party to do the live streaming. You can do that right in iLab. So your student can be doing their training and you can get the live stream of them as well as seeing their data. And this is really important because one of our components of our program is the behavioral shaping input. And that's those self-distracting behaviors that we're working to eliminate, right? And we need to be able to visually see if any of those behaviors are happening. And so if we're doing a live stream video, we can see that. Now, again, as long as you have a camera and your client has a camera on their computer, you can do that. And most laptops and computers now come standard with a camera installed. Additionally, in addition to that, you see their real-time streaming data. So just like you could look at their data when you're right beside them, you'll be able to see your data in real time. Now, obviously, if you're working with one student, you're going to see their data, and that's going to be the one that you're focusing on. However, when you're doing group training, you have the ability, again, to pull up a certain student specifically, or that student can be flagged. And so if you have a student that is, you have maybe 5 individuals in the room, and one of your individuals, their attention goes all the way down to 0. They're going to flag, the system's going to flag that student, and so it pops up and you see that, because if their attention goes all the way down to 0, something's going on. They may have taken the body wave armband off, they may have taken the dongle out, something happened and it needs your attention. And so you could be looking at somebody else, but that pops up that for you. Or if their attention is at 100%, it will flag them as well, because maybe something's going on as well. And so even if you have 4 or 5 students you're working at one time, the system's still going to make sure that that important information is coming through to you and you're able to see it. You can also pin that student. So if you have a student that you really need to keep track of and you really want to watch, if you have a bunch of students, you can pin that and see their data as they move forward. In addition to the live stream data, you also have the ability to see it in a graph form. So you see it with their picture, you can see it in a graph form, and you can, like I said, you can pin it and do a lot of different pieces with that. So this is showing students specifically. You have all the students, your pinned students, your flagged students, and so it's going to give you a lot of data as you go through. So you're able to make sure you're addressing all of the students that you need to address. iLab alerts. So that's part of that flagging that I talked about earlier. So the alerts are built into your iLab program. So again, if your student's data goes down, it will alert you. If it goes way up, it will alert you. If something's going on strange in their data, it's going to alert you so you can take a look and you can see. Now again, as I mentioned, this is going to be beneficial for your group training. So you make sure that you have all of those, so you make sure that you're addressing all of those individuals that you need to. Now, it's not that they go away when you have the virtual system, you just may not use them as much. And that's why it's so important when we talk about the iLab that it's all of it's built in so we can do either or with it as we move forward. Oops, I went one too far, sorry about that. Also, communication and behavioral shaping. So as I mentioned in the beginning, there's a lot of different forms of communication. So here you see an example of a student and an instructor. You see the options that they have available. So video, just messaging, a phone call. So all of those are available. You see down below, you can have the chat option as well. Again, you have your options up here where you're seeing their attention. You see what game they're playing. So it's giving you, that student, this student is playing time on task silver. Their attention, how long they've been playing. You can, again, look at that graph. You can flag them, you can pin them, you can turn it off. But in addition to all of those different forms of communication, here is where you can track that behavioral shaping. So if you do have a student that you've been seeing in the office and you've been working on fidgets, right? Because behavioral shaping is us working on eliminating those self-distracting behaviors. And they can be, a multitude of different ones. fidgeting, getting easily frustrated, calling out, humming, and remember that we can track those, and Sheer Genius helps by bringing awareness to it and setting goals for your students, for your clients. But we need to track those every time to make sure to see, are they improving? What do we need to do here as we move forward? So even with a virtual option, so now let's say, again, you have a student that you've been working with in your office and you've been working on fidgets, and now because of COVID you need to go to a virtual format. You can still pick right up with that behavioral shaping like you did before and track those behaviors right here in the system, and it's going to keep going, and that way we can continue to address those. We can continue to set goals around those and really work on eliminating those behaviors. So even though you're right next to each other, you still have the ability to track those behaviors in addition to the multitude of communication. And remember, again, like I said, you have the opportunity to block that individual. You can still watch what they're doing. They just can't make a phone call to you or a video chat or an instant message like a chat box chat while you have them blocked. And that again is for those students that have a tendency to either want to stop or they were really working on that impulse control. So that is all included in the system. So it's a really great platform that provides all of these different pieces again in one area so that we can continue to do the training that we're doing now virtually, or again when we eventually come back together where we can do this in a group format as well. So why would you want to choose iLab? What is the benefit of having iLab? Because virtual offerings are really the wave of the future. Since March, many companies, many businesses, many healthcare providers have really leaned into technology and virtual platforms because they can continue with their business, but they can keep their clients, their patients, their coworkers safe, as well as schools. So we're leaning into the technology that we already have there that's already available to us because it's really what we see the future going to. Now, eventually we probably will, you're gonna see, more schools back in place and more offices where individuals will be back in the office. However, there is gonna be a component that will remain virtual, I believe, as we move forward because of the ease and the convenience of it. So this may be a platform you go into because of necessity, but it really becomes very flexible and something that you really want to continue as you move into the future. So why iLab? Again, it's the wave of the future. It's what we're seeing. It's how we're moving forward. We are understanding now more the capability of our technology. We knew the capability was there, but until we were put in a situation where we really had to use it, we did not realize the extent of the capability that we had. As I mentioned, iLab has been around with Play Attention for quite a few years, but we've had a lot more individuals lean into it now because it's a way for them to continue to see their clients safely. It's a time saver, day to day and through travel. So it's a time saver because you're not worried about, oh, that client got stuck in traffic or I got stuck in traffic. It's saving you. You're able to back to back more clients with less time in between because you're not having to worry again about travel and all of those different pieces that come along with it. It still holds a very personal aspect. Because of the way iLab operates, you still have that personal component. You can still coach your clients. You can still give them feedback. You can still hold the additional add-on services that you provide. If you're a therapist, if you're a counselor, if you're a tutor, you still have that capability to offer that very personal touch. But now, again, we're more in that environment right now that keeps us safe. And there's a variety of platforms available. So across all forms, right, there's a variety of platforms now that are there for virtual use. Again, iLab, though, a lot of those different virtual platforms, you kind of have to pick and choose what you're going to use depending on what you're doing. But again, iLab provides it all together in one. So it's very, very simple to use. Society is at more ease with technology. As we continue to progress and go down, and have more and more technology, as a society, we are becoming more comfortable with technology. And again, because of all of the technology that we've done over the last few months, we're even more comfortable than we were, last year at this time. and it's more accessible. Technology is a lot more accessible as we move forward, connecting to the internet, having a platform to use this on, having computers. Again, like I mentioned earlier, so many computers now have the camera built in, so it's not like where you used to have to be able to buy or have to go buy a camera, an external camera, and set it up and then use a third party. All of that now is more connected, and it's a lot easier for us to use. So why does it benefit clients? So some of these you're going to see is what we just talked about. Obviously some of the things that we talked about is a benefit not only for your client, but it's going to be a benefit for you as well. Time. So, a lot of individuals now are seeing how much more things they can get done because they have more time. They're not traveling. They're not as overly extended. And so now by doing virtual training as opposed to coming to a center or your office to do training, it's going to save everybody time. It's going to save you time. It's going to save them time. Whether you're working from home or you're working from your office still, you have more time available for you. No commuting struggles or costs associated with travel. So that can be a real limit or a real limit for some of your clients. They may be far, maybe your client is an hour and a half away. And so they have to drive that twice a week or whatever the case may be to get there. And so that, again, they're running into commuting depending on the time of day, and also the cost associated with it. So the wear and tear on their car, the gas, the cost of maybe having to leave work early. So now they don't have all of that. They can connect either at home or at the office or whatever the case may be. And now there's that one piece that may have prevented them in the past. There's no geographical limits. So before, where if your client wasn't in a 100-mile radius of you, they probably would not necessarily use you as a provider. But with iLab, you don't have to have those geographical constraints. You can, as long as there's internet, right, and they have connection and you have connection, you can now do that iLab back and forth regardless of the distance. There's less exposure to illness. And this is even outside of COVID. So even prior to COVID, we're starting to enter just regular flu season, which, schools started having issues. Some people didn't want to go to the doctor or different places because they didn't want to have that exposure. So even if we're not talking about COVID and we're talking about just regular exposure to illness, that's going to be eliminated. And so again, that is a huge benefit for families. You're still able to work with a professional, but in the comfort of your own home. So before iLab, they really wanted to work with a professional because we do have a lot of clients that see the benefit in working with a professional instead of just doing it on their own. But right now with COVID, they cannot go and see you, or they don't want to because of exposure to illness or whatever the case may be, or geographical. So now they're still able to use you as a professional, but they don't have all of those other constraints. So these are a lot of wonderful benefits that you can provide your clients if you move to a virtual platform as iLab. But what are the benefits for you? Because just as much as you want to provide benefits for your clients, you want to have the benefit as well, right? It needs to make sense for your business. It needs to work for you moving forward, okay? So here are some benefits of our clients, and these aren't just, I didn't just make these up. We have a lot of clients right now that use iLab, and these are the benefits that they see even prior to COVID, and now even more that we are in the environment we are. The ability to continue to practice. So our clients that were already on iLab or that upgraded early to iLab, they've had very little disruption in seeing their clients. They've been able to move along the process, still see clients, still make money, still move their business forward. They have a lower overhead. If you go to virtual, you don't necessarily have to have a center, so that lowers the cost of any personnel that you might need to hire, a building. So there are a lot of savings if you choose a virtual platform for your overhead. or as opposed to a virtual platform, as opposed to a brick and mortar because of that overhead. Now, with that being said, if you're like, wow, my center is still a really important piece of my business, that's okay. You can still do virtual now. And once it becomes safer to go back into that center environment, remember, you can go to group training. So now instead of seeing that one client, seeing 8 clients a day, now maybe you see 3 clients every time. So instead of 8 clients, if you have 8 slots a day and now you're seeing 3 clients for those 8 slots, now all of a sudden you saw over 20 clients. And so your billing just really explodes, and it can go so much further once you have that environment. It gives you flexibility. So, you have the flexibility of being able to adjust your schedule. You don't have that commute time. So it gives you flexibility for that. No need for travel or a physical location. So again, it's going to save you with the travel, you with the costs associated with travel. It reduces your exposure to illness as a provider. It decreases no-shows and cancellations. So we know as providers that it's inevitable that we're going to have no-shows and cancellations. They got stuck in traffic. Somebody got sick, they couldn't leave work, something else came up, or you just don't hear from them, right? And so when we go to a virtual platform, the traffic, the commuting, the cost, the schedule, a lot of those things go away. So all of a sudden you see a reduction in your cancellation and no-show. It advances your business model. So now you're offering something that the other professional is not offering. You're offering that ability to give your client more flexibility in how they're going to receive their training. So just like there's benefits for your clients, there are also a lot of benefits for yourself. So it still gives you the ability for added value, okay? So sometimes, clients, professionals will be like, well, but if I go virtual, what added value can I have? And so, or if I'm already doing counseling and I'm doing telehealth, what is Play Attention going to provide? Is that more value added for me? And so here are some of the types of solutions, practical solutions and value added that Play Attention is going to bring to your practice, whether it's Play Attention virtual. Obviously, there are a lot of benefits to the virtual, but even Play Attention by itself. You're going to be able to provide training of executive function skills. So Play Attention is there to build those executive function skills for your clients, because you may have, if you're a tutor and you're working with Johnny on his math and he's struggling to pay attention and he's struggling to sustain that attention, a lot of those tools you were giving him for math, he's not going to be able to retain. But once we can build that ability to focus in and pay attention, all of a sudden those tools are going to be more effective. Same thing when we're talking about a counselor, or if we're talking about a audiologist. All of those individuals have tools to help with very specific things. But if you have a client that can't pay attention, that can't control their impulse, that can't process what you're giving them, those tools aren't going to be so effective. So if we can increase their ability to build their executive function skills, whether that's attention, whether that's impulse control, whether that's processing speed, whether it's time management, memory, whatever the case may be, your other tools are going to be more effective. You have customized curriculum. So we have 13 different games in Play Attention's profile. Every single game is triggered by attention, so it's rooted in that foundation of attention. Every game works on impulse control, and every game works on processing speed. But then we can really customize it to work best for that individual. Do we want them to work on memory? Do they need to work on social skills? Do they need to work on coordination? What do they need to add in addition to that attention, in addition to that impulse control, in addition to processing? What do we need to put in there? Additionally, one thing I didn't mention about virtually is, with Play Attention, we recommend that they do an hour of training per week, which can be sometimes very, very hard when we're doing it at a center, because we're requiring our client to come in 2 times every week. But once we go to virtual, we can say, oh, let's meet 3 times a week for 20 minutes apiece. Or we're going to meet 4 times this week for 15 minutes apiece. So it gives us our ability to break it out a little bit and really customize that curriculum that work best for them. So in addition to making adjustments to their time, we can also make adjustments to what cognitive skills we're going to be working on and what's going to work best for them. And you still have the ability to make adjustments. So nothing's set in stone. You're going to work on that best training plan, and if you need to make that adjustment, you can make that adjustment. So you have complete control over that customized curriculum. Our program can be added to any business model. You know, our professionals are really, there's a wide variety of individuals. We work with doctors, we work with counselors, we work with therapists, we work with tutors, we work with ADHD coaches, we work with educators. There are so many different types of professionals that we work with, and the reason is play attention is such a great added value to any business model, because when we talk about adding executive or building executive function skills, those are beneficial for everyone. And because we work with both children and adults, it really can be customized to work best for those individuals. And at the end of the day, they don't need to have a diagnosis to work on building executive function. Flexible scheduling. So again, like I mentioned earlier, you know, whether you're at a center or whether you're doing it virtually, you have the ability to flex that schedule with them and work through that program as they go forward. Independent and live coaching. So I'm going to show you a few scenarios for your return on investment, but you know, it's really important to know that you have options. So if you decide you're going to go to virtual, you don't have to coach them on every single session. They can do independent sessions, or they can do coaching sessions, or they can do a combination of both. So we'll talk about what that looks like. Because if you're thinking, oh my goodness, I can't do 4 15-minute sessions with every single client I have every single week. Even if I'm not traveling, there's not enough hours in the day. So there's flexibility with that. You can give them have them do some independent sessions and some live coaching. Or if you have a client where you're like, they really need me every time they train, then that would be a client you can do all, 100% live coaching with. You have that flexibility. Again, it's your choice and how you customize each individual client. It's a time saver because it's all built in to challenge them, to track them, to give you all of the tools you need for it to be an out-of-the-box program, yet very, very customizable. We have artificial intelligence built in called Sheer Genius, and it does a great job of moving your client forward, making sure they're hitting certain benchmarks, challenging them, tracking their data. That is a huge piece if you are new to Play Attention. Our Sheer Genius tracks all of the data for each of your individual clients, and you can print it in a PDF or a CSV or a CSV file, or you can email it in those formats as well. So lots and lots of data it provides, and it's foundation building. We are building that foundation so that they can do those day-to-day tasks. When we look at education, unfortunately, a lot of these executive function skills are not being taught in the classroom because so much of what's being taught is tied to standardized tests. So the ability to stay focused, the ability to work on strengthening your memory, the ability to have that hand-eye coordination, the ability to problem solve, to critical think, to be organized, to plan. Though a lot of individuals do not have those skills, and they're not being taught those skills. And so this program is going to build that foundation of those skills. So what does it look like? What do I do? How can I break this up? What should my packages look like? And so here are going to be some great examples. And again, you're going to get these slides after the session today, so you can take a look at them and really kind of dig into what works best. And you don't have to do only one. You can mix and match whatever's going to work best for you and best for your clientele. So you can do your basic package. So all these sessions that they do, so if you have a client that is doing 3 20-minute sessions a week, all of the sessions that they do, all their Play Attention sessions are independent. So they're going on like they would do at home. They're going on, they're doing their Play Attention sessions. The system's helping them through that. And then you're going to do a weekly virtual coaching session with you. You can still do it through iLab. That way you can see them. You can go through all of those pieces. So that would really be the basic package. This is essentially where they're doing the work, but you're providing that value-added service of weekly coaching to make sure not only are they staying on track with their play attention, but it's also an opportunity for you to provide some additional tools to help them reinforce and use every day in their day-to-day life, and give them tools for that. There's a mid-level. You could offer a mid-level package where it's one live play attention session and one independent. So maybe you have somebody you've always been doing twice a week for 30 minutes each session, and you want to stay with that, so it's normal. One session they do on their own, and then the other session they do live with you. So they're getting that component of being able to do training with you, but they don't do it twice a week. So that's more of that mid-level where it gives them, they're doing a little bit of it independently, but then you are offering to do a session with them as well. Our top level package. And again, these are completely up to you. If you want to mix and match and create a hybrid, you can definitely do that. These are not written in stone. We just want to provide you with some ideas of what you can do with iLab in your practice. So top level would be you are with them every single session. So if they're doing 4 sessions a week, 3 sessions a week, 2 sessions a week, whatever that looks like, you're logging in, you're doing the sessions together. Now, obviously, if they are doing play attention, they have to have equipment. And so, you know, many of our, and I'm going to show you numbers here in a minute, many of our professionals will lease out their equipment. And we're going to talk about all the investment costs here shortly. So this is all, you know, talking about them having equipment for their program to be able to do their program at home. Because remember, they need that body wave armband, they need the licensed software. And so this would include all of that incorporated in it. So again, you don't have to do one or the other, but there are some different opportunities of what you can provide. Now, obviously, depending on how much support you provide them would depend on how much it costs, what that service is. And that's why it is nice sometimes to offer your clients a multitude of options, and that way they see, you know, the value, but then they can really fit into what works best in their budget as they move forward. So now, what does it look like investment? What is my investment? If I'm brand new to play attention, what is my investment? Well, step one, your professional play attention system. So that's our one-to-one. That's what I talked about in the beginning. You have the body wave armband that's integrated with the cognitive skills training and the behavioral shaping. You can enroll as many students as you want, but it's physical. They have to be with you, and it's one-on-one. So if you have 8 slots a day, you can train 8 students. No more than that, because you can't do more than one at a time, okay? So that's our professional level, that's that entry level. Now, if you're there and you're like, wow, I'm really ready for virtual, or what does virtual look like cost-wise for me? Now, we have an investment paid in full, but also we have started an investment payment plan. So I'm going to show you that next, but this is if you pay in full. So you have the professional system, or you're purchasing the professional system, and now you're like, you know what, I'm ready to go to the iLab group training, virtual training. I want that. That's something I'm very interested in. First step is our iLab licensing software. That's what's going to give you all of those great tools for that all-in-one platform. The video, the data, the ability to see all of the individuals at one time. So that is a one-time cost of $399. That's going to give you that software, and that way you have that ability, you have that platform now where if you're doing group training or virtual training, you have all of those fabulous tools that we talked about earlier. Now, every student you train going forward, virtual or group training, has to have their own student station. So you have your iLab professional statement or professional system. You have your play attention professional system, you have your iLab licensing, and then every student that is doing training needs to have a student station. That's going to give you the licensing software, and that's going to give them the body wave armband. So whether they're at home using it or in a group environment, each student station is $1,995. That's per station. So if you wanted to do 3 virtual students, you can use your professional system as one, but then you have to have 2 other student stations. Or if you're like, you know what, I just want to keep my professional system in my, you know, for me, and then I'm going to get 3 student stations. Now, the great thing about those student stations, as I mentioned earlier, they can be used virtual, But when we get to an environment where we're all together again, they can be brought back in-house and you can do group training with them. So they really give you a lot of flexibility because, again, if you had 8 slots to train during a day and now you have the ability to see 3 people every time you have a slot instead of 1, you're obviously going to be able to build more for those sessions. So this is your investment. Step 1, our professional system, $2,495. It provides you with your with 6 core cognitive training exercises, unlimited user licenses, the behavioral shaping program, your body wave armband, designed to do one-on-one training. But you have a lifetime membership. So there's no monthly fees, there's no subscription fees for that. Then you have the iLab software when you're ready to upgrade to the iLab, that's $399, again, a one-time fee. You have that platform now. And then each student you want to add into your network, they have to have a student station. So that's $1,995 per student station, okay? Now, we are offering something that we've never offered before, and we're giving you the opportunity to go into iLab at a payment plan option. So our investment payment plan still starts with the professional system at $2,495, still the software at $399, but now you can start with your first student station with a payment plan. The payment plan looks like this. You need to put $899 down for that student station, and then it's going to be $99 per month for 12 months. Now, you can always pay it off early. You don't have to pay there's no penalty for that. Once you get through the 12 months, then that system's yours to keep and you can continue to use it. So if you're using it with a client now, they're done. Generally, they're done in about a year. Your system's paid off. Now you can use it with another client, and that money that you're going to be making for that is profit. You're not putting anything back into your payment plan. So we wanted to give professionals an opportunity to move into that iLab program at a little bit lower investment cost up front, because we know it's a platform that works, but we know it's a platform that's really necessary right now. So if you have the professional system and you want to get started, then it's the iLab license, and you can start with that payment plan moving forward. So now, those are the investments, but what is my return on investment? Okay, so there's what I need to put out. How am I going to get that system back? What does that look like? So this first ROI is virtual. So this is if I do strictly virtual, and it's going to give you numbers if I have 1 system, if I have 2 systems, if I have 3 systems, okay? So first system, I have my professional cost, right? And I have my coaching license. So if you have a professional system and you purchase the iLab license, you can send your body wave armband to a virtual client and you can start seeing 1 client, okay? So your investment is $2,894. Now, if you are using this virtually, the recommendation, or what a lot of individuals do, is they lease that equipment to their clients, okay? That way it's helping them pay for that equipment. It's bringing them in a little bit of money to help them cover that equipment cost. Now, what we see in general, pretty average, is about $150 a month for that equipment leasing. Now, if you want to flex that, definitely you can. Again, you're going to get this slide, so if you want to make some adjustments to the numbers, you totally can and kind of see what that would look like. But what we see on average from our professionals that lease their equipment, it's about $150 a month to lease their equipment. And then generally we see with our virtual sessions, around $50 per session is what our clients charge. So if they're doing a live session with their client, they're charging them $50 for that, okay? So if I'm doing, so if I'm doing sessions with them twice a week, $350 a month, $150 for my leasing, I'm going to earn my investment back in about 8.5 months. Now, we're recommending, or we see on average individuals reach that level of permanency around 40 hours. They're doing an hour a week, 40 hours is about that 8-month mark. Now, they might need a little bit more training, but your system's going to be almost essentially paid off by the time you get that first client through, okay? So now that was one one independent, one live. That first scenario at 8 months, 8.5 months is if I did one independent and one live. So they're charging them for the live session, they're not charging them for the independent session. I'm sorry, I confused that a little bit. So scenario one, I'm doing one independent, I'm doing one live. I'm only charging them for the live, charging them for their equipment rental. In about 8.5 months, my investment's going to be paid for. However, if I do 2 live sessions a week, now all of a sudden I'm making $100 a week. In addition to that 150 I'm charging for equipment, and now my return on investment is going to be a lot faster at 5.5 months. Okay, so that's if I just have one system. So now let's say if I have 2 systems. If I have 2 systems, again, I've got that professional, I've got the coaching, and now I've got the cost of the student station. Now I didn't break up the monthly plan because that gets a little muddy with the numbers, but just something for you to put into those numbers as you're kind of looking at that. Again, one independent, one live. If I have 2, so now I'm renting 2 pieces of equipment, so I'm doubling my money on that. And I'm also seeing 2 clients, but I'm only doing 1 live session a week with each of them, but I'm doubling my money again. So now with those 2 systems, even though the cost is a little bit higher, my investment's a little bit higher, my return's still going to be faster at 7 months. But if I do 2 live as opposed to 1 live, 1 independent, 3.5 months, my investment is coming back. So very quickly, and that's why I said, if you go on the payment plan, you can pay it off early because you may be able to. You're like, today sounds good, I'm going to get started. But as you start working with those clients and that income starts coming in, it may be very easy for you to pay that off quicker than you anticipated. And now if I go to 3 systems, you're going to see the same thing. Of course, my investment is going to be a little bit higher as I go into it. But again, I'm making more money because I'm able to see more clients. And really 3 systems, 3 virtual clients is not a huge overload for you right now. Many of you are probably used to seeing 4 or 5 clients a day. So a lot less, but again, as you add systems on, the investment's a little bit higher, but you're going to be able to return that income a lot quicker. So that's kind of some numbers that we put aside for your return on investment. Again, remember, we're going to send these slides out so you're going to be able to see that. So now group training. Now you can take those investment costs and you can bring that client back in and do group training in 4 months if we're if social distancing is over and it's more comfortable for us to have a bunch of individuals together. That's the great thing about our system is not only can it be used virtually, but it can always be brought back in-house. And now if I'm doing group training, I'm going to see my return on investment a lot quicker because now those 3 student stations, I can use them several times a day as I move forward. So if I have 2 systems, so now obviously to do group training, I need to have more than one system. Now I have 2 systems. So my investment, of course, is a little bit more, but if I'm seeing 1 group weekly, it's $50 a day, $200 a week, $800 a month, less than 6.5 months, my investment's coming back. If I'm seeing 2 groups a week, so that's only if I see 2 people twice a week. But now if I see 2 people twice a week, or 2 groups twice a week, so 4 people twice a week, now it's going to be 3 months. And so you'll see how these numbers really can grow when we start adding to our program. Now, of course, group training right now is a little bit far off for some of us, but you can use it as virtual now, and there's really that ability to increase that return once we're able to go back. So just something to keep in mind if you're like, I have that center, virtual is great for me right now because it keeps me going, but eventually I want to go back to my center. This is still a great opportunity for you because it's going to give you a lot of benefit moving forward, okay? So now I gave you numbers. I'm going to give you an opportunity here to ask some questions because I know I covered a lot of material and it can get a little bit confusing and I've been talking a lot, but I want to let you know our special offer. So as you may or may not know, Play Attention has an add-on program called Media Player. And what Media Player does is it's integrated with our technology and it allows individuals to get feedback while they're reading or while they're maybe watching a TED Talk. And I'm going to show you an example here in a minute. It's a fabulous tool because it really helps ensure that reading comprehension. It really ensures that they're staying focused while they're doing that reading. It's a fabulous tool to add in right now, especially because so many individuals are doing virtual and distance schooling. Normally, Media Player to add in is $149, but if you purchase a Play Attention system today or a student station today, it's today only, we are going to throw in Media Player at no cost. So let me show you a little video here. Here's an example of an adult. So that's another great thing about Media Player. Sometimes we think about reading comprehension and reading, we think about children, but this is a great benefit for adults as well, because here's going to be an example of an adult watching a webinar, and you're going to see when he goes away to take notes, it's going to pause because he's lost that attention because he's writing notes down. And that way he stays engaged, he stays focused for the length of that training. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on here. And you're going to see right now he's focused in, paying attention. He's got that body wave armband on because it's integrated with that. He started writing notes, and now you see that instructor on the screen is paused. Now he's wrote his notes, he's going to refocus, re-engage, and she's going to start speaking again. So any MP3, MP4 can be downloaded into this program. If you have something that's like a Kindle, that doesn't work. A Kindle, like a Kindle book format doesn't work, but pretty traditional MP3, MP4s that you have, videos can go into this and you can use them in conjunction together. And it is a really great tool to really enhance and build that attention and really work on that comprehension, especially if we're using it with reading. Great tool. We don't talk about it often enough here at Play Attention, but it's something that could really benefit your business. And if you decide you want to get started with iLab today, we're going to include it at no cost. Okay? So I covered a lot of different pieces of information today. I gave you kind of information overload. So I want to take this few minutes. We've got about 10 minutes left, 9-10 minutes left here in our webinar, and I want to open it up to questions. So first of all, if you're interested in upgrading to iLab today, you're like, I'm ready to go, or getting started with Play Attention, go ahead and type your phone number in the chat box and we'll have an associate get back to you today and get your order started. Make sure you get that free media player, get all of those pieces for you. So that's the first thing that I want to do today is if you're interested in getting started, go ahead and type your phone number in and we will get back to you. We'll help you get started today. And that's whether you're looking for a professional system or a upgrade to iLab. So first things first, so go ahead and put that in. If you're interested in having a little bit more conversation, maybe there are some pieces there of iLab that you're not quite sure how they're going to fit into your everyday practice, go ahead and type in, just type in your phone number, but put consultation behind it. And that way we know that you're ready to have a conversation, a consultation to talk about more details of your specific practice and clinic. And we'll schedule that with you, whatever works best for you time-wise. And go ahead and type your questions in. Anything else, go ahead and type it in, whatever questions you have. I want to be able to answer those. Okay, so Jean asked, can I get iLab added to my standard system? Do you mean your home system? No, it has to be a professional system. So if you have a home system, you can upgrade to the professional system. So basically you just pay the difference between the two systems, which is $700. And so you can upgrade to that professional system and then you can add iLab in on top of that. Is it possible for one presenter to work with two students at the same time? Amy, yes, you can. So you can do multiple if you would like. So if you want to have, now you can only communicate obviously with one at a time, so it gets a little bit hairy that way, but you can work with multiples if that's something that you need to do. Great question. Thank you for asking. Sarah asked here if there is requirements for their computer. And yes, so just like you have requirements to run Play Attention, your client or your student would need those same requirements for their computer. And we can provide those with you. It needs to be a desktop or a laptop. It can be an Apple or a Mac, but it has to be at least Windows 8 or above. And there's some certain different, RAM and storage space that they would need to have it operate. But tech support will provide you with support to help it get it set up on your system. So great question. I have another question here. From Joe that says, can I get my client to just purchase the student station? So yes, you could. So some of our professionals, because of the long-term use that they can have with that student station, will purchase it themselves and lease it out. However, some professionals do choose to have their clients purchase the student station themselves. We couldn't do the payment plan that way. They would have to pay for it in full, the $1,995. And also, just so you know, that payment plan for our professionals is just for individuals in the United States. We unfortunately can't offer that payment plan internationally. But if you had a client and you're like, you know what, they're interested in getting going, but you know, I'm not really, you know, I don't have that investment, but they want to buy that, but then work with you to do the training and you work out whatever that training is, that's something that's definitely able to do. Jean, the professional system, the difference is going to be between your two systems is that professional system is going to go from 2 user licenses to unlimited user licenses, and it also allows then that upgrade to the iLab system. So great question. Let's see here. I want to make sure I didn't miss any other questions. Any other questions? Don't forget, I do see a couple phone numbers here and with times behind them. So if there's a specific time you want us to give you a call, we can do that, no problem. Remember, if you want to talk a little bit more details about your specific situation, we can talk about that as well. So it looks like I've gotten to all of the end of the questions. So I want to thank you, all of you again, for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I know it can be really hard on a Friday to get together and to spend an hour on a webinar, but we really did want to share this information with you because it is very pertinent right now, and it has been very beneficial for our clients that are using this. Jean, yes, we will be sending the recording and the slides out. So give us a couple hours. We get all of that together and we will send out an email. Everyone that's registered will get that today. So thank you again. If you need anything, you can always call us at our 1-800 number, 1-800-788-6786, or visit us at www.playattention.com. Have a wonderful weekend, and we look forward to working with all of you. Bye-bye.